So two ways that most people save for college is either through a 529 or ESA. These two investment accounts are pretty similar, but there are a few differences between the two. So I am Jeanetta, the creator of Cash and Curls, and today we're going to be diving into the differences and comparing the 529 to the ESA. So if you would like to learn a little bit more about these two investment options, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick overview of each investment account. So the 529 is a state-ran tax advantage account. It is used for educational expenses, and with the 529, it uses after-tax dollars, it grows tax-free, and you can make withdrawals on qualified educational expenses tax-free, okay? And with the ESA, the Coverdell Educational Savings Account, that is a trust or a custodial account. It is used for educational expenses, and like the 529, uses after-tax dollars, it grows tax-free, and the money can be withdrawn tax-free as long as it is used for qualified educational expenses, okay? So when I think about these two investments accounts, in my mind, I am picturing a graphic organizer. You guys know that I'm an educator at heart, so that's how I'm going to break it down to you guys today. We're going to use a graphic organizer to compare the two investments accounts. And with this comparison, we're going to look at 7 categories. And the 7 categories that we're going to focus on are age restrictions, contribution limits, investment options, qualified educational expenses, beneficiary transfers, withdrawals, and penalties, okay? So let's go ahead and dive right into age restrictions. So, age restrictions. With the 529, anyone 18 and older can open up a 529. A fun fact is that you could actually open up a 529 for your unborn child and list yourself as the beneficiary. And when your child is born, you can then switch the beneficiary to your child. That's a perk. And with the 529, you are able to also open it up when your child is born or any time throughout their life, okay? So you can open it up when they're 5, when they're 8, when they're 11, when they're 13, whenever you would like. So with the 529, there is no age limit. There is no age requirement on when the money has to be used, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the ESA. So with the ESA, you must open up an account before the child turns 18. And with an ESA, money you invested must be used before the child reaches 30. Or you can actually transfer any money that you have within the ESA to another beneficiary before the original child reaches age 30. I do want to highlight that with the ESA, there are some exceptions for students with disabilities, so be sure to check that out. That is a pro. Before we continue on with the video, I do want to give a huge shout out to Nikisha. Nikisha had actually wrote me on Instagram stating that she wanted to know a little bit more about 529s and ESAs, and she wanted to know what the pros and cons were for each. So thank you, Nikisha, for requesting today's video. I hope you will be able to take some new things away from this video and get a better understanding of what a 529 and ESA are and how they are different, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the next category. So the next category is contribution limit. With the 529, there is no annual contribution limit. But I do want to highlight that if you contribute more than $17,000 in a year, you will be hit with gift tax, okay? So be aware of that, but overall, that is a pro that you can contribute how much ever money you would like into your 529 as long as it's not over $17,000. With the ESA, there are some contribution limits. Let's go ahead and walk through them. First things first, there is an annual contribution limit of $2,000 a year per child, meaning you cannot contribute more than $2,000 a year for one particular child. With that, your contributions must be made before the child reaches 18. And there's also some income restrictions. You will not be able to contribute to an ESA if you are single and you make more than $110,000 a year. And if you're married, filing jointly, and you make more than $220,000 in a year, you will not be able to contribute to a 529. So that is a con in regards to the ESA with the contribution limits, okay? Let's go ahead and check out the next category. So the next category is investment options. So with the 529, you will be investing into preset groups of mutual funds. And with the ESA, you will be able to invest into stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, okay? So before you make a decision as to which investment opportunity you're gonna go with, I highly recommend that you speak to a certified financial advisor to see which investment route is best for you. Let's go ahead and look at qualified educational expenses, okay? So with the 529, qualified educational expenses are tuition and fees, room and board, books, K-12 educational expenses, trade school, technical school, apprenticeships programs, certification programs, and some student loan repayment. With the ESA, on the other hand, qualified educational expenses are considered tuition and fees, some room and board, books, and K-12 educational expenses. So as you can tell, the 529 has way more qualified educational expenses than the ESA. Let's go ahead and take a look at beneficiary transfers. So with the beneficiary transfers, this is pretty much the same amongst the two investment options. So with the 529 and the ESA, once you designate a beneficiary, you can transfer the money to someone else who is related to the original beneficiary. Let's go ahead and look at withdrawals. So once again, with withdrawals, this is pretty much the same for both accounts. With the 529 and the ESA, money you invested must be used for qualified educational expenses. So if you don't remember what those expenses are, rewind the video a little bit and actually write down and look at what the qualified expenses are for 529s and ESAs. Penalties, okay. Penalties are pretty much the same across the board, but there is a slight difference between the two. So with the 529 and an ESA, you will be hit with federal tax and a 10% penalty if you use that money for non-qualified educational expenses. So with the 529, the person that receives the payment pays the tax on the money that was withdrawn, okay? And with the ESA, the beneficiary pays the tax. So that's the difference between the two. So let's go ahead and do a quick little recap. So both the 529 and the ESA are very similar, and there are just a slight few differences amongst the two, okay? With the 529, you can clearly see that there are a few more advantages and benefits, fewer restrictions with that account, okay? But both are great investment options if you're looking to invest into college for your children. But as always, I highly recommend that you speak with a certified financial advisor so you can determine which investment route is best for you. But I am just curious to know, which one of these investments accounts are you leaning more towards? Are you leaning more towards the 529 or are you leaning more to the ESA? Let me know down in the comments. And if you got value from today's video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share with a friend, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And a huge last shout out and thank you to Nakisha for requesting today's video. I hope you were able to learn something new and get a better understanding of how the two investment accounts are different. And if you have a question that you would like for me to answer here on YouTube, be sure to hit me up on Instagram at cash_curls and send me a DM asking me your question. Or you can leave me a question down in the comments and I'll be happy to assist in creating a YouTube video. So until next time, friends, never forget that you can win with money and I am rooting for you. Bye.